here already have their army set up. We are on the Yathrib map, which is fairly open plain, which means Parthia is going to have a really good time go ahead and running around. Yesterday, we did see them use a Parthia roam tactic, and what they ended up doing was, instead of actually using Parthia as horse archers, they actually opted not to go horse archers, and they actually brought about 4 cataphracts, a ton of foot archers, and a few melee units. The melee units of Parthia are actually not that good, but being supported by all that archers and cavalry, proving to be very effective here. So this is a very open map, so both teams will not be allowed to hide any sort of units anywhere. In the middle of this map, there is a hill that I'll show you where you can kind of maneuver a unit quietly and have it not shown. That would be right here on this side of the map. So one enemy, one people are going to spawn over here, one team. And if they're able to move a unit this way and use this hill right here as cover, because you need line of sight in order to spot units, they will be able to move a unit all the way over here and hide it. And for the most part, you won't be able to be seen. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize everything for now as we talk about the map. So once again, if you guys haven't seen this map, there is also a lane up here on the left-hand side that people can use either coming down here or coming up, which is very effective in hiding a unit, but it does take a very long time to get a unit all the way up this and around your opponent, which by then your battle will have already probably been mostly over. So that's probably not the best idea. We're probably just going to see these two units come at each other. The initial scouts, initial horses, just to scout out the whole army, because at this distance they won't be able to see every single unit their opponent has. And then we can only imagine that the army is going to be attacking each other. Team Gorilla, that's with Simon and Agathon. And Agathon, they do use a lot of skirmishing units. So we will see that. We will probably see that out of them because they do enjoy kiting a lot. Like we saw yesterday, there was a 15-minute kite battle of Simon and Agathon versus Team Leontes. It was very interesting to see. They ended up losing that one, but they only had 6 archer units, and they kited for so long. It was very, very crazy to see. So we can only imagine now that they're going to be bringing a lot of skirmish units, and let's see how Team Terminator, that's Dugginator and Jagatron, are able to pull this off, because the tactic out of Simon and Agathon is proving to be undefeatable for the most part. They did lose one game, and that was to a little bit of Miss Micro, but they did end up cutting for a very long time. But they won the other 2 games versus a Pike faction. Now the same sort of tactic may not work the same, only because they're not fighting these heavily armored units of Macedon. They're going to be fighting Averni and Subi, who for the most part are generally quick in combat and can probably catch these archer units if they do reveal themselves. So it's really going to come down to who wins the horse engagement here, the cavalry fights, because we will see a lot of cataphracts. Those guys are very good cav, but we also have the noble horses out of Averni and Subi. Both of these players saying good luck, have fun. This is the finals, ladies and gentlemen, so prepare for this. This is going to be very interesting. So now here on the south side of the minimap, we have Parthia and Rome. This is Simon and Agathon. And here in the north side of the minimap, as Subi and Averni, we have Team Terminator. They consist of Jagatron and Dugginator. I'm gonna get those two conjugations mixed up, but here we go. The initial fight, a lot of Parthia camels and cataphracts, which we very much expected to see. Here we have 5 cataphracts and 2 camels. Camels are pretty good against enemy cav if you're charging them from the sides and you get a good attack in there. And royal cataphracts are really good for a bogged down sort of action. On the right hand side, we're seeing all the noble horses move in. There's elephants here. These elephants are actually really good against these horses. Let's see what kind of damage they're able to make. The horses accept this engagement. Pretty interesting to see. Now a lot of Praetorian cavalry moving in to engage the noble horses here, along with a lot of archer fire. That's because we have the gladiators throwing their pilla, and now they're forced to engage in this fight already. I'm not sure if that was the best engagement, because these elephants will be able to just tear down all of the horses for the most part. They still have not lost a unit and have pulled 20 kills right now. Subi choosing to advance forward at this point. They have no choice but to just take on their opponent head on, which is really good because Parthia won't be able to stand too much of this onslaught for too long, because a lot of their units are very weak in melee combat. On the right hand side, the noble horses are dying. They're losing them fairly quickly. Subi noble riders here on the right hand side not moving and engaging in this fight. This Roman cav will actually probably engage it. Oh, he does notice it. These players are top tier. They know exactly what's going on. The front lines are engaging. They are trying to chase down the Parthian army, while the Parthian army is just trying to kite. Parthia is sacrificing a few of their spearmen to hold back this force while they retreat backwards to safety. Parthia running all his units away, losing all of his melee forces in combat, still keeping all of his horses and archers alive. Rome here bogged down in a fight against all of the noble horses. It looks like all of the cav advantage for Team Terminator is now gone. They used all of their cav initially here on the right-hand side to force a fight, which didn't end up proving too good for them because they lost all of their horses. But these swordmasters should be able to take care of all of the Parthian units, and they're constantly going to swing around. Which what I see happening here is, if they're going to just swing around, if Team Terminator swings around and comes on the top side of this hill, we just see a lot of archers left over from Rome and a lot of cav left over from Parthia, which I'm not sure is going to be very effective against the rest of this army. If they keep this pressure up, these archers need to shoot for a very long time in order to make themselves cost effective. All of the cav here is still engaged in combat. Very crazy to see these guys. They barely pulled off any kills though because of the elephants. So it looks like Rome here is going to win this little initial skirmish against all of the cav, while Subi and Averni are trying to reform their lines, sending units forward. This unit's caught all alone. It's going to probably get hit here in the back by the cavalry. He's trying to move them forward. They are getting shot now. Cav's about to charge him from behind. Units everywhere. This is the tactic that we saw yesterday, where they just constantly kite back, use archers in every direction, have Cav hit these units from behind and deal a lot of damage. Moving forward, they already lost 11 units. A lot of units sliding around all over the field from the force. Already down 20 units on this one guy just from one charge by this Cav. And these cataphracts can really stand in a fight for a very long time. And it's going to be interesting to see who will end up winning this fight. I'm pretty sure the Oathsworn will lose against this Cav, but they're actually doing decently now, already dropping 4 of those units. Team Guerrilla now trying to reform lines anywhere they can. Cavalry constantly coming back and getting sent into the fight, trying to keep this force bogged down while they engage with the rest of their army. Right now, the tactics is looking good for Team Terminator, although they have Cav engaged everywhere, and I'm not sure if they will be able to defeat the cataphracts, because if they do lose this Cav fight over here, these Cavs are going to come back and just take out the rest of the units of Averni and Subi, because they're just balled up right here. They are still saving a lot of Cav. These are just scout riders, so they're quick chasing units, and they want to save them for chasing down the archers. These noble riders here are just sitting pretty. They need to start moving. They're just getting shot up by arrows, but he doesn't see it. Averni Oathsworn finally getting taken down after pulling out 47 kills against cataphracts, which is pretty good amount of kills. He needs to move these noble riders now, but he is going to get hit by rural cataphracts. Will he decide to take this hit, or will he pull back? I think it's too late, and he doesn't see this. He is going to end up getting hit here by this cataphracts. The cataphracts stops the last second, and noble riders get the charge. I don't know, these guys are too busy paying attention on this other side to notice that Subi and Averni constantly putting pressure, not stopping their forward momentum, keeping them under attack. A lot of Cav here now going in to try to charge spear nobles, which is not the best idea. A lot of archer fires still going into these units, and they're getting hit pretty hard by these by all the cavalry charges in the back, along with a lot of archer fire. These guys already have 14 kills without losing any men, and they're still shooting into this fight. I'm not sure if This tactic constantly, I mean, they're moving back and they're going to keep falling back. Red line is still pretty far away for the most part. Averni's still chasing down what they can. Elephants here now trying to be used to stop the charge. He needs some sort of missile fire to take out these elephants. Elephants are really good, but against fire arrows and javelin throws, they will die. They're actually getting taken out fairly quickly by these Oathsworn. Oathsworn doing a great job attacking. These elephants are already ready to rout, but they may go into berserker mode, and if they lose control of these units, it is going to be inside the lines of Averni. Subi's scout riders now making contact with the armored legionnaires and the Parthian foot archers, but the foot archers are going to make their way out of there. Swordmasters getting the flanks, but as you can see here, Parthia still has a lot of their units on this side, constantly trying to kite the rest of the armies around, while they just keep trying to move forward. Look at all this cav left over by Rome. They're now moving into the flanks of Averni's, of Team Terminator's units. And if they're not able to thwart this off, they're going to lose tons of units to this cav charge. So much cav here, and so many archers from Team Simon. They're just kiting around archers while sending all their horses to do lots of cav charges. Look at the amount of fire going into these one units. There's so many archers over here. I'm not sure what they need. They need to catch these archers somehow, but a lot of their cavalry is gone. And there's still so many more cav left over by Simon's team. By Simon and Agathon. And these archers are just going to keep constantly falling back, and I don't know if they'll be able to catch them. Over here we see the cav now. Cav of Simon and Agathon still chasing around the units of Averni. There's like 5 cav over here, which is not good for Team Terminator because they're gonna lose this mobility battle, just getting constantly kited. They're trying to keep the pressure up, but these units are running the whole time while getting shot at. They're down already half their units. They did make a little bit of an engage, but with this constant retreat and the amount of forces here still backing up all these archers, one of these units can just make contact with these two and have all the archers finish it off fairly quickly. Fights going on all over the place, and they're trying to chase down these units, but they need the cav in order to pull that off. I'm not sure what the tactic is at the moment. They're running out of units here because they're just constantly getting kited, and they're not too sure how they want to engage. They will win most of the melee fights, but with all of this barrage of arrows, they're going to lose men very easily. This unit already routing from this chase. More units coming in here, more of Subi's units, but what they need to do is take out these archers, and they just don't have the cav anymore to do it. They lost them a little too early, and at this point, it's just going to be chasing. And this is the kind of gameplay that Team Simon does want to pull off. Because right here, you see this unit just runs away, keeps the archer fire under wraps, and then all these cav here are just going to try to do the rest of the damage. They're going to be charging straight into this spear unit, and this spear unit is just sitting here. I wonder if he's going to turn around and try to engage, because this spear unit should be able to kill the rest of these units if they're bracing, but they're bracing the wrong way. He doesn't turn around in time, and they're going to get hit and slide all over the field here with the amount of mass of these forces. So now the rest of Subi and Averni's forces are still chasing the archers around, and I mean, they have a good shot at it, but these archers are so fast. They're just going to keep outrunning and getting shot at the whole time, and they just don't have cav to chase them anymore. And I'm not sure if Averni and Subi will be able to pull this one off. I mean, they still have the forces, but they won't be able to sit here and take the archer fire for much longer. They're not able to close the gap because the amount of weight that these forces have, weight playing a big factor here in Rome 2, not allowing them to catch archers, is proving to be very bad for them. These spears now routing, so it's pretty much just now all cav and archers and a few infantrymen versus the infantrymen of Averni and Subi, but this isn't going to last too much longer. I mean, Oathsworn are really good, but if they can't catch their opponent, then they can't do damage. A lot of shots still going into these guys, constantly cutting. They are now at red line, so they cannot retreat any further back, but I don't think they care because at this point, they feel like they have the game in the bag. Still a lot of cav left over. So even if even if Averni and Subi are able to make contact with these units, I don't think there is enough of these forces to kill all the rest of the cav that's going to be coming back from them. Swordmaster's doing really good against these cataphracts, but there's still like 4 more cavalry units here from Team Guerrilla. Big charges here onto the Oathsworn, as you can see. That's what they've been doing over and over again, not allowing them to reach the archers formation. And if this keeps up, they're not going to last too much longer. Their units are routing all over the place. Averni only has 2 or 3 units left. They're trying their hardest to move in, but the cav is just too much. And now there's only 1 unit left, and it looks like the first game is going to go to Simon and Akathon. Because there is no way that this unit will be able to catch, especially with all the cav now coming back, doing charges into the backs of these units. And I think they just got spread out too much. They charged straight forward, which was, they should have done that. They did a good idea, good strategy by trying to just rush their opponent. But their opponent knows that if they just keep falling back like this, they'll be able to do really good. And I'm not too sure how to counter this because of the sheer amount of cavalry and archers from these units. So we're going to go into a game 2 with Simon and Akathon being up 1-0. Team Terminator does get to decide what map they want to pick. And when that gets underway, we'll start this battle. Let's see if they do decide to change anything up, because they did know that going into this battle that Simon's team was going to rock this sort of skirmish way. So just letting him know. Just letting him know that Douglas's team will pick the next map, and they are still hosts. This is a best of 3, so this will go on for 1 more battle, so they get to pick a map again. Yes. So they get to pick a map again. Let's see if they decide to pick a woodland map in order to counter the effects of all the cavalry and archers here from Simon's team, Simon and Akathon. But this is best of 3, so they do still have a shot at this, but they have to win the next one. Let's see if they're able to pull it off. So they're deciding on a map now. I would probably recommend a more woodland type of map, just for their sake, because that archer fire is very devastating. Because we see here that their strategy is to just have tons of archers, tons of cavalry, and not too many melee units. But the melee units' jobs aren't actually to engage the enemy forces. They're just there as a buffer against the archers. So they constantly retreat back with their archers and men together. And in turn, they're able to just whittle down their opponents. Looks like here we're going to be we might see a change for Epirus and Iceni. It's going to be very interesting to see that. Iceni do get a bonus in Woodland if they do decide to pick that type of style. But Simon's team is up 1-0, so if they do pick... so they can pick like any sort of style they want, because they know that Averni and Subi need to be the ones to do the action here. So they might pick a sort of defensive army because they know that they're up and they don't need to necessarily attack or make the moves in order to win this tournament. They might choose a defensive army, sit back, allow Team Terminator to move up into them, and playing defensive is a little bit easier because you don't necessarily have to micro too much. All you have to do is move your units in defense. And on the map of Athene, it's pretty possible because there is a good amount of hills and valleys here. So if you're able to put your army on top of one of these, you can move in fairly quickly. The counter we often see to a defensive army is using a... the counter to a defensive army is using a lot of missiles. And we saw that from Simon's team against a Macedon army. The Macedon army trying to camp and use their pikes like normal, but with the amount of archers that they had. Like, they had probably, I think it was 12 archers or so in that battle. And your pike line has no choice but to advance forward because all those archers will eventually take out your army. And you can't have that because that's going to be pretty devastating. And there's not really any sort of unit that can withstand arrow fire for too much. The shields actually not proving to be too good. It seems that they still take damage through shields no matter what, because these units, even though they're getting hit from the front with their shields up, aren't taking damage. I mean, are taking tons of damage and are falling to arrow fire. And I mean, it's understandable that eventually your unit should go down, but if you're playing Rome, for instance, and you have shields as big as your unit, and you're hiding behind it, I don't feel that archers should be able to take you down from the front that quickly. We're seeing a big change in that fight, because back like week 1, week 2, people were saying archers were fairly useless and cav was too slow to be effective. This being from Shogun 2, playing the really fast cav and very effective using bow samurai or bow monks. Those were really good units, or the Daikyu samurais, those pulling sometimes 500 kills a game because you could stat them very effectively. But here, people say a lot of the archers are very ineffective for the most part. But Team Simon here proving, Simon Akathon proving that archers can really win you the game if that's all you're using, which is very surprising to see, because I haven't seen armies like this too often. They're very rare because it takes so much micromanaging in order to pull it off. And in order to catch it, you need to have the cavalry. But Simon and Akathon bring more than the usual amount of cav in order to guarantee the cav fight win. Along with the elephants there, we saw the elephants holding back 3 units of cavalry, and after the cavalry got tied down, they just sent in the rest of the units in order to clean it up. So this battle is very important, so they're going to take their time to figure out when they're ready. Team Simon is ready, Agathon is ready. So we're just going to be waiting on Team Terminator, Douglas, and Jagatron in order to see when they want to pick their armies. They're ready as well. So it looks like the battle here is going to be underway very shortly here. We're going to have Macedon and Egypt versus Averni and Subi. They're opting to stay the same amount, the same faction, just it's going to be a different fight now. It's actually kind of interesting to see because I have not seen them use a pike army, referring to Simon and Akathon. They've been using kite armies, Rome, Parthia, but now it looks like they actually want to play the pike line. And if they don't, then it's going to be very amazing, unless it's a spam of elephants, but highly doubt that. Maybe we might see 1 elephants, maybe even an onager. Not sure how defensive they do want to play this battle. But this map will allow for a lot of maneuverability play and a lot of cover from archer fire. So it's understandable that they did decide to switch into a pike sort of setting, because these pike units will be able to take out the Oathsworn and the Subi units fairly quickly if they're all set up in a decent pike line and without having to worry about too much of the forces. And as long as they don't get flanked, they will be able to destroy the forces pretty easily. Let me just go over the map here like I was saying before. Generally, we see archers or units, cavalry, moving around here, trying to get early scouts. And pretty much the battle is usually on this side of the map. Because of the terrain, the amount of cover you get here, the foliage from moving on the tops of these hills, and then the cover you get from line of sight being hidden in the valley parts. So what's going to happen is, generally we see units using this column, this road, to go ahead and move up. You do get a bonus of your unit speed when you're moving through roads. So what ends up happening is they run units up here over this hill, and if you're on the other side and you come over this hill, you have the highest point of the match and you're able to move down onto your opponent. Likewise, on the other side, generally we see a camping of about right here, because if your opponent does do that and they come down to engage you, they're going to be below you and you're going to be above them. And we usually see a swarm on this side, but I'm not sure how effective the pikes want to be, whether or not they want to just stay in open ground or move there into the open. And it's also curious to see how much cav they're going to bring, because this map does allow for a lot of stealthy maneuvering, but cavalry may not prove to be as effective in this map because it's not completely open, It's not like a rice paddy where they can just send their units all over the place and keep an eye on them without having to worry about terrain too much. So let's just go back into the units to see if they're ready. It looks like Akathon's team is ready. So we're just going to be waiting on Team Terminator to go ahead and ready up. So this is a best of 3. So unless the Team Terminator can pull off this victory, the battle will be over and the tournament will go to Simon and Akathon. Just to break this down now, here on the south side of the minimap, we have Simon and Akathon. They are Team Gorilla for their use of a lot of missile units and kiting around for the most part. So there are Egypt and Macedon, and it looks like here they're fielding their still standard army somehow, even though they're fighting with a big amount of pikes. They brought pike units as their infantry, but still tons and tons of missile units here. That totals to about nine missile units, plus elephants that we see are very effective at stopping cav charges just due to their sheer amount of mass. It just holds down all the cav, and a lot of the cav here on top of the hill, holding back the rest of the unit. So it looks like here, this top side is going to be used as an aggressive playstyle, and the bottom side, the open field, is going to be used as a defensive, hold-back playstyle. There is a lot of units here, good formations out of these guys. So now here on the north side of the minimap, this is Team Terminator, and they are down 1 game, so they need to win this one and tie it up in order for it to move into a 3rd round. They are still Averni and Iceni, and they brought a fairly big amount of cav here. We have 6, 8. We have 8 cavalry. No 1 archer unit, but a lot of melee units here again. Just a big sword army. So they're going to be having to advance fairly quickly. It looks like they recognize that their enemy is moving up on top of this hill, so they're trying to reform, remove up here, send their elephants up there in order to defend against it. These elephants are really good at holding back all these cav charges. It's actually very interesting to see, in a good tactic. Never seen elephants used like that. Generally, I see them walk into melee units or just get shot down by arrow fire, and that's the most effective way to kill these guys. Or javelin throws. So all these units now sprinting to get into position on top of this hill. They know that Averni is coming. Subi is coming with all their forces here to the top in order to pull off this flanking maneuver. And they're just going to sprint the whole way. It's going to force Egypt and Macedon to turn. And they're going to have... Averni is going to have the hill advantage once they get up here. They retreat back and they just concede the hill to Averni and Subi. So once Averni and Subi do get up here and reform their line, they need to rest for a second, let their units regain their freshness before they engage, because their units, after running for this fair amount of time, will be a little exhausted. So they want to make sure to have their units fully ready and fully primed up in order to pull this off. So now, like I said again, we see the retreat of all these units conceding the hill to Averni, and they're all just going to turn now and face the army here with a downhill disadvantage. But they're probably going to be okay with that. Hellenic Royal Guard and these companions are a really good pike unit. If they just sit here and hold spears, they will do a great job taking out these units. And there is not any sort of missile force from Averni or Subi, which means these pikes will do a lot of damage unless the javelin throws are really able to hit their mark and they can get flanking shots. Because they do have more cav, I believe, than their opponent. So what ends up happening here is these pikemen, and I think Peltast are in this group, need to take out all of the cav from Averni in order to pull it off, and Averni needs to not get their cav caught. If they get these cav caught and in a bad fight, they are going to be really out and hard and down, and they're going to have to pull out something crazy in order to win this battle. Macedon actually being very aggressive, advancing these unit forwards without... There is no missile support on this side. I would almost say to focus down this army before you engage the main line. Don't even worry about the main line for now, because you don't need to. There's no missiles here. If they can take out all of these units, then this whole pike line is just going to be very susceptible to everything else. I really think they should focus this down. All the archers now moving forward. You see that attack command in order to take out the rest of these units. Cavalry moving here to engage the noble horses. Noble horses just trying to poke around, force some sort of action out of their opponents. Archer shots now shooting at the horses. No casualties just yet, but they are hitting their marks, so some of these units did get damaged. The new missile factor here in Rome 2 is that if your units do get hit by missile, it's okay because missiles do a certain amount of damage and your units do have HP, so they can take a few missile shots before they do go down. The hill advantage is in Averni's favor here, but with the constant slinger force moving up, what's going to end up happening is it's going to force Averni to attack, and I think they need to attack this upper side first. Get some good javelin throws onto these war elephants, take them down, and then sweep down the right-hand side and flank their opponent. Noble horses moving here in the middle, getting very ballsy because now all of these slingers here are going to rain shots onto all of these horses. And if one rock gets lucky here, we might see some horses get taken down. You hear the noise of them actually getting hit, so he's moving them away now. And I don't know if he's trying to just force missile shots out of his opponents or if he's trying to poke, because if he's trying to force missile shots, I think that's a bad idea because there's so many missile units, so many rocks, so many arrows from their opponent that they can pretty much do that for the majority of the battle. And by the time they engage the pike line, they're going to be in for a world of hurt. But they also know that they have the cav advantage, so they can afford to use a cav to soak up some of the fire. Macedon and Egypt now slowly moving up, shooting at all the units here, all these Oathsworn, and trying to just whittle these guys down, do a little bit of damage. The slingers are not very accurate, but enough of those rocks, if it only takes a couple to get lucky in order to take down an opponent. Elephants here now moving up. We need to see javelin throws on these guys in order to see them taken down. Let's see if they're going to turn. Attack orders now onto this Oathsworn. Let's see what they're going to do. It seems like they are going to accept this fight, but they're not having an attack order, so they will not throw javelins. Going to get hit by war elephants, charged in by noble horses. These Oathsworn will be able to easily take out these Royal Guard because they are not a pike unit. They're just here in melee combat. They're trying to get some flanks on. This Oathsworn already getting taken out by these elephants. Elephants still have all of their units left over. Now, it looks like Subi and Averni are trying to take out this upper right-hand force. Subi bringing down all their cav here. They are going to have the hill advantage, charging into this companion cav. Looks like we have trample mode activated. The line is engaged, but there is more cav here, and Averni needs to bring some cav here before he gets flanked with the rest of these units. The whole melee line is going to engage here. We see Pila throw onto all of these foot companions, and they are going to engage now. This maybe is not going to be very effective because these pikes are going to do tons of damage to these units. You just see a ton of Averni just drop 60 of their units, just drop right away to that throw, and a lot of dead units along the pike line. So the elephants over here are trying to be taken down quickly so that the noble horses can relocate here to the top of the hill. The noble horses here from Averni are trying to head up there in order to counter the rest of the units. Elephants here now finally wavering, probably going to rout. A lot of the Oathsworn now getting pushed back by the pike line. I think that was a bad move for them to engage at that point. Subi now also engaging along all the lines of the pike forces, sending in their swordmasters around the side flanks. And a lot of now noble riders getting flank charges onto these slingers, which is very good. He needs to keep moving these units around and keep kiting it in order to pull this off. But that unit is going to be getting caught. I keep accidentally hitting that scene mode. These units are getting caught now by the pikes, and he needs to get them out of there. He's taking out slingers very effectively, but here on the right-hand side, Averni's trying their hardest to mass all of their units here on the top right side to take out these units. But these units are in pike formation, and the horses are advancing straight into them, which is not good. A lot of cav charges here going in by by Macedon, and you just see a lot of retreating forces now by Averni. A lot of these pikes getting caught out of formation, which is very good for Subi's units, but will they be able to push through this line? Noble horses now making it around the back. Hellenic Royal Guard trying to reform in order to protect the archers here. And he's going to keep moving these units all the way through, looking for an opportunity to take out archers. He does find it, and he is going to charge here into the backs of these units, giving a good charge. But I don't know if Subi and Averni have enough units to continue this, because here up on top of the hill, we see a big advantage here to Simon and Simon's team. But still a lot of horses now moving in, charging all the flanks of these pikemen. They need to bring some melee units here, and they do have them here on top of the hill. They need to bring them down to engage the backs of these Hellenic Royal Guard, and they also need to get their cavalry out of this fight, because once these pikes all set up, they're going to be in a world of hurt. It looks like here on the floor, Elephant's not coming back into the fight, but here on the floor it looks like Averni and Subi will be able to pull that off. Elephant's here now moving in. They need to put some sort of fire down on them. But here on top of the hill, Averni is not going to last too much longer. We see Noble Horses just getting engulfed by all of these pikes. Noble Horses here on top trying to take out all of the companion cav. But with this Royal Peltas here, it's a really bad engage. Noble Riders constantly trying to charge in over and over again. Both of these teams doing a great job at getting in charges, but a counter charge here at the last second by the Aspis cav. Here on the left-hand side, we see a really good cleanup of most of the Egyptian forces. Only a few pike forces remaining. They need to clean this up and pull back and reform lines. There's actually, we see all the pikes intact for the most part. How did this happen? They were able to pull this off. This pike force holding off 2 units without a flank charge. He needs to get a cavalry in here in order to take that unit out. And there's a cavalry just sitting right here. He could easily get a charge and rout this unit. Let's see if he does notice it. Macedon now trying to send forces here to assist their friendly. And on top of the hill, easy cleanup by Macedon, taking out all of the cavalry from both Subi and Averni. But with all this pike now moving into this fight, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to pull this off. They really need to win this ground engagement over here. But a lot of these Oathsworn now getting pushed back because all these Hellenic Royal Guard are still in pike formation. And he's moving all his units forward, but he's not going to be able to break this 6th rank deep pike with just these forces. A lot of forces now routing. Cav moving in here now, trying to take out all of these archers, but there's still so many Cav left over. And not enough forces. As you can see in the power balance bar, there is not too much more left that they can pull off. Slingers now all getting taken out here by the Scout Riders. And all the Cav here coming down over on top of the hill, charging straight into the leftover Cav. And that Cav is not going to last for too much longer. It looks like there's a GG by the Germanic Tribe team, the Averni team, Team Terminator. And that was a very good fight, but I think they engaged too quickly onto those pikes without whittling them down. And Team Simon is going to be the winner. So we will have an interview with them after this battle and ask them about their tactics. So if you guys do have questions, write them down. These units won't last too much longer, with charges going in straight into the backs of these units and pikes forming at the last second, charging at these units. We have GG, these guys being very friendly with each other. And lots of charges into the backs of these units with the downhill charge, taking out a lot of units with that one hit. Very insane to see. And Macedon and Egypt still having the majority of their forces left over. Pike, they're showing that Pike versus non-archers is very effective. Maybe we should have seen more archer units, and that's going to be the end of the fight. Team Simon is going to be winning. It did win this tournament, and they are our finalists, our supreme champions. So let me get